Going against the grain as a Christian man. Let me read you a passage from John chapter 8, 3 through 11. Then the scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman caught in adultery, making her stand in the center. "Teacher," they said to him, "this woman was caught in the act of committing adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" They asked this to trap him in order that they might have evidence to accuse him. Jesus stooped down and started writing on the ground with his finger. When they persisted in questioning him, he stood up and said to them, "The one without sin among you should be the first to throw a stone at her." Then he stooped down again and continued writing on the ground. When they heard this, they left one by one, starting with the older men. Only he was left with the woman in the center. When Jesus stood up, he said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, Lord," she answered. "Neither do I condemn you," said Jesus. "Go, and from now on do not sin anymore." Okay, what I want to take away from this passage is they were trying to trap Jesus, and they were trying to peer pressure him into making them stone the woman so then they could call him guilty to the law. Now, what can you take away from this? Going against the grain. Jesus had to go against the grain and stand on his own against all of the Pharisees and tell them, "No, you don't get to stone her, you guys are all guilty too." And that can take a lot of guts. I know when you only are reading it from the word, it just may seem like a casual thing, but it's a lot deeper than that. He's standing against everyone, himself and a woman who's an adulteress, telling them, "No, you guys are just as guilty as she is. You guys can't condemn her." And what I want you to take away from this is, as a Christian man, you have to go against the grain. As a Christian man, you have to be willing to go against the world, go against people's beliefs, other people's judgment, and going against the common opinions and ideas of this modern world. Now, to start with this, as a Christian man, a way you can stand your ground, not going against the grain, is not going against your morals or your values. See, I remember several times in high school, especially when I was later in middle school, before obviously I was mature, I was probably immature a lot. I didn't think about faith at all. I didn't really care. I would be mean to people just because my friends would be being mean to people. Or when I was a freshman or a sophomore, because I thought it was funny and I didn't think any big deal of it. Even when I felt bad, sometimes I was like, everyone's doing it, it's normal. Not realizing what that impact had on the person who was getting bullied or getting just called names and all of this other stuff. Not realize the impact it had on them. So go against the grain, be the leader, be the Christian man, be the person who's not going to go against their morals or their values, so you can lead other people to be that example like you were. Another thing, having self-control. I remember when I used to work at this fast food job, I was pretty cool with everyone at the store, even if I was Christian and an atheist. I wouldn't really talk about my faith unless they asked me direct questions about, "Oh, are you dating? Are you doing all of this stuff?" And I was actually pretty close to a few of the people there. And I remember talking to one of them. He was talking about his girlfriend. I was like, to me, "Hey, do you have a girlfriend?" I was like, "Nah." It was like, "Oh, why?" "I don't know. I'm just not in the place to date right now." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm Christian, so I'm waiting till marriage. I'm a virgin still. I'm waiting till marriage." It was like, "Oh, really?" Because the way I would play myself is, during this time, I was more in and out of my faith, and I allowed this to take more of a persona on myself of, I don't want to be that Christian guy, I don't want to be that guy, so I'm just going to blend in with everybody else, I'm just going to act, I'm just going to joke about whatever I want to, I'm not going to care. But that was the one line I wasn't going to cross, because I feel like that was a lot more serious. And I didn't want to cross that, because fornication is a sin on your body. All of these other sins can be forgiven like that. But I feel like Fornicating and doing all of that stuff is an actual impact on your body. It's an actual impact on your soul. Because it says in the Bible, right? When two people are married and they're both virgin and they come together, they form one flesh, and then they have a tie. They have a special spiritual bond that God talks about. But that's besides the point. I said that, and that was me standing up for, like, you know what? I have to confess this. I'm not just going to hide. I'm not going to lie. You got to stand against the grain, even if others' judgments are going to be like, oh, look at this guy, he's a loser. Even though I'm not doing it because I can't get women. I'm doing it to be honorable and respectable to God, because that comes first. Another example of this is not being peer pressured into eating absolute shit, eating absolute goy slop. If you don't know what I mean by this, especially me, because I'm so health oriented, I'm so diet oriented. Even before my concussion, when I was trying to bulk, I would still try and avoid eating so much processed foods. And I remember, like, I would just be hanging out with people that I used to talk to a lot, still trying to hold the friendship together. And I just go out with them and I'd be like, bro, why am I here? In my head, obviously. I'm eating bullshit. I'm eating McDonald's. This is against what I want to do. I don't feel good anyways. I'm going to be on the toilet 2 hours later because I feel like crap because of what I just ate. We're talking about things I don't care about. All of these things, and I was too afraid to go against the grain. I should have said from the beginning, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like eating this food. It's stupid to me. It's not getting me anywhere. It's not making me better as a person. It's not getting me closer to God. So what's the point? Another example of this is controlling your emotions. Especially now, people are so feminine nowadays. People are so focused on how they feel instead of actually taking action and actually just doing what you actually need to do. Like, you wake up one day, oh, I don't really feel like doing anything. You think I feel like doing things every day? Sometimes I just want to lay in my bed and just cry out to God, God, why am I still in pain? Why are you still putting me through all of this stuff? I've been obedient, Lord, at least the last month or two, and I've been doing everything you've asked of me, even when I don't want to. Why are you still putting me through this? I could say that every single second, but I don't. It slips and it comes up my mind, and I try not to, and I try to continue moving forward. I could have every excuse in the world not to post. I could have every excuse in the world not to do what I'm trying to do right now. I could lay in my bed and be depressed because of everything I'm getting put through right now. But I'm not. Now, back to controlling your emotions. I'm talking about this because this happened to me like a week or two ago. I was really getting pressed on my current situation. They didn't mean it in like a mean way. I was just taking it the wrong way. And I took it as them trying to joke like, oh, I don't want to really get into it. But they're like, oh, joking about my concussion, joking about my injury. And I completely freaked out. I was like, you have no idea what the F I'm going through. Try putting yourself in my shoes for 10 months of dealing with this over and over again, plus everything I'm going through outside of myself. It's a lot. And I completely freaked out. I completely lost my cool. And you know what? Was some of it warranted of not my anger towards the person, but the anger I have towards everything that's going on? Yes. But you still need to control your emotions. Because imagine people are trying to press you. Imagine people are trying to test you and you lose your emotions. You're setting a bad example of what Christ would want you to look like. Christ never lost his cool unless it was absolutely necessary and if there was something absolutely unrighteous going on. Another thing I want to talk about. Standing your ground in your faith. You need to go against the grain and you have to stop being another person in the herd. Another person of just following every single other person's opinions. You have to stick on what you believe. For a specific example I had in my life is another example I have from work. There was this newer employee and he was pretty nice. I kind of befriended him. We talked a little bit and I was asking him like, actually, I don't even remember how it came up. We were talking about religion and we were talking about Christianity. I told him I was Christian. And then he was telling me like, oh yeah, I was raised Christian, but I don't really like it anymore, bro. I just, looking through the history and seeing all this stuff, I just think it's stupid. I don't think it's actually true. And then he was trying to test me about why I believed what I believed and why I still believe. And I would be like, no, that's actually false. It's this way, not that way. And I'm trying to push him back in what I believe is the correct lane, back to God. But even every single time he tried to disprove me, every single time he tried to maneuver around what I'm saying and pressure me and get other people to pressure me in what I believe, you have to stand your ground. That's why I'm always saying, oh, you have to be high testosterone. And people in the comments are like, oh, how does that have anything to do with Christianity and your videos and yeah. It has to do everything with my videos. It has to do everything with the message I'm trying to tell you. Is if you want to go against the grain, you have to be high testosterone. Why do you have to be high testosterone? Because that gives you more confidence, that gives you more drive, that gives you more focus. It just makes you a better version of yourself. Because instead of being this wimpy guy who's too afraid to say what he's going to say, or say what he wants to say, if you were high testosterone and you were locked in and you were healthy, you'd be more likely to be assertive, aggressive, and stubborn towards other people, not letting them push you down based on your views. And if you look at every single movement in history, whether it's right or wrong, it's always a man at the forefront who is willing to stand his ground. And you can look this up. Every single person who's leader, people who are leaders, people who are in those positions, the bosses, even if you want to look at whatever your opinion is on them, the tech CEOs, the people that are entrepreneurs, the people that are at the top of what they're doing, they're all high testosterone. They all are. Because they're willing to stand their ground on what they're trying to do. Even when people give them pressure, they're like, nah, I'm going to keep chasing this. And later down the line, you're going to be like, wow, look where I am, look where you are. Now, that's more of a secular perspective, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's the idea of standing against the grain. Christ did it. He did it for you. He did it to show people the truth. So you have to do it for him.